everybody. Welcome back to the Everyday Night. I'm Joe.
And I'm Jeff.
And Jeff,
Yes, sir.
do you recall the novel by Robert Heinlein called A Stranger in a Strange Land?
I do indeed. Was one of my favorites in
Yes.
my pre-teen. I think I read it when I was 11
Yeah.
or 12.
And so Michael Valentine Smith, I believe,
Hmm.
comes
Thou art God.
comes comes to Earth from Mars and has a way of acting and thinking and believing and without telling the whole story, but in people want to follow him and but in order for them to understand, they first have to learn the Martian language
Hmm.
because there are concepts that could only be understood in the Martian language. There aren't words for them in English. Now, one of the words that a lot of people have taken from that novel is grok. To
Hmm.
grok something is to understand it thoroughly and deeply in a way that is you've completely integrated the understanding of it. It's so it's deeper than simply understanding something. And that's one of those words. And it's entered the lexicon. And
Hmm.
so tonight, this
This
episode,
evening.
evening, we are talking about words in other languages that have no direct translation into English. They have to be explained. The concept
Right.
has to be explained. And that's what we're talking about.
Okay. So when are you going to explain it? What we're talking about?
Did you not grok what I was saying?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
I
very good.
deeply understood it to a level where it is totally integrated into my conscious.
Good. And in addition, I expect that you can intuit the next question.
Indeed. And before you ask, I'll ask you, what are you drinking?
Ah, well, I have an old-fashioned sweetener and um, uh, orange bitters um, and chocolate bitters and
Oh,
a sweetener. But instead of bourbon, I'm using batch 22, which is an American aquavit. They call it themselves an American aquavit. So uh, it's herbal and got flavors in it. It's a really interesting,
hmm.
very different than anything else. And I was given a bottle by some friends in California and had to carefully pack it and put it in my checked luggage and hope it didn't have an accident on the flight back. But since then, I've been able to order it directly and have it shipped to me. And I
Good.
recommend it. It's a really interesting alternative. It changes the flavor profile of a lot of drinks you could use it in.
Well, I can imagine. Certainly sounds different from, it sounds almost like a gin.
It's not,
Yeah.
yeah, except I like it. It's not,
Well, excuse me. Well,
yeah,
it's an akavit, so I
yeah,
get the difference, but
but it's very different than like a Danish aquavit. Uh,
oh, really?
yeah,
Okay.
it's not, yeah, there's no pine notes and there's no,
Hmm.
it's really interesting. So that's what I'm drinking, and batch 22 old fashioned. And what are you drinking this evening?
Well, this I'm calling this um uh, well, it's dark spiced rum, Kraken brand dark spiced
Hmm.
rum. Uh about 1 to 2 with Werner's soda and
Hmm.
aromatic bitters. and I'm calling it desperation because that's all I had in my cabinet after a vacation. So, but it's not bad, really.
Hmm.
It's kind of a dark and stormy kind of
Oh, cool.
mix.
Yeah. Well,
So,
there. I have a glass jar in which currants are soaking in Kraken spiced
oh,
rum. And I've done this before and then use it in an Irish soda bread recipe.
hmm.
And it's pretty good.
I
So,
was going to say that it sounds like good on ice cream.
oh, it probably would be. Yeah. So, words. There's so many words in other languages. And one of the reasons I think this is useful and learning another language is useful is it really does help you. I mean, you really do understand how other people think. And
Mm.
I think that's a useful thing. Um, so where shall we start?
Well, I want, does the list, you've compiled the list very kindly, and there is Yiddish.
There is
I've,
Yiddish. There is
I've
some
often
Yiddish.
enjoyed the Yiddish translations of things.
Well, and one of the reasons we could do hours just on Yiddish. And I
Yeah,
recommend the book, The Joy of Yiddish. It's really good. There's um, there's so many concepts in Yiddish, so many words that are not directly translatable, easily translatable, but a lot of them have entered the English language,
yeah,
which is steals from everyone. Um, so a couple that are well known, certainly people have heard before, Schlemiel and Schlemazel,
that's
Haas and
right.
Pfeffer Incorporated. You know, if you
Mm-hmm.
remember the opening of Laverne and Shirley,
Yes,
um,
indeed.
and someone I know actually was a staff writer for Laverne and
Oh,
Shirley. Was She was hired out of college to be a staff writer in Laverne and Shirley. But a schlemiel, the old way of explaining is the schlemiel is the guy who spills the soup, and the schlemazel is the one who gets the soup spilled on him.
okay.
So schlemiel is kind of, not, but klutz doesn't quite do it because it's not just klutzy. It's somebody who is. It's always something happens. It's always that person.
Ah,
You know,
okay.
that's the schlemiel. The schlemazel, something happens. That's the one it always happens to.
So it's never his fault, but he's just that unlucky.
Right, right. Like the who is the character Joe Bifflestick with the cloud over his
Oh,
head in the
I only remember
in
from the
Lil Abner, I think.
yes, and there was another more contemporary. I mean, not any, not by today's standards contemporary, but more contemporary to me was Schleprock on the spin-off of the Pebbles and Bam Bam spin-off of the Flintstones,
Oh,
where Pebbles and Bam Bam are, you know, high school age teenagers and their misadventures, and the Eeyore would be another, I would
oh.
say,
Well,
example of what you're talking about.
yeah, Eeyore is. I think there'd be another, and actually being an Eeyore, I have referred to people as an Eeyore
Mm,
before. So I think that is an example of a proper name, fictional
right.
proper name that becomes a word in the language.
But
And there
but
are terms in Yiddish for that. And I mean, there's so many Yiddish words to describe people,
yeah.
and the various characteristics of their behavior. I did hear an interesting theory about the Flintstones and the Jetsons,
Mm-hmm.
that they actually exist at the same time. And the Jetsons
Fan
are
theory.
are like the cloud dwellers in Cloud City in that episode in Star Trek,
Uh-huh.
and The Flintstones are the poor people who have nothing and they live on the ground. They've been
They're
abandoned to the ground.
they're the Morlocks that mine the minerals
Right, exactly.
that the Eloi use to build their
Well,
utopia.
that's, yeah, you're conflating
I know.
Star Trek and the Time Machine, but that's okay.
No, the Morlocks and the Eloi were both time machine.
Yes, they were both Time Machine, but they weren't in Star Trek. The terms for the cloud dwellers and the
Oh,
people workers were
no.
different, but I understand what you're saying. Um, so one of the other terms that's not often heard in Yiddish, Luftmensch. Um, and
Which
this
is
is,
German Luft is air, right?
yes. Well, about three-quarters of Yiddish is based in German, but there are Hebrew terms and Russian terms and
Polish.
Polish, and so it's an international language in a lot of
Hmm.
ways, and actually dates back. Versions of Yiddish date back to the 14th to 15th century,
Hmm.
if not further. So, as does a bagel, actually. Um, so a Luftmensch is an impractical dreamer, head in the air,
Right.
with no business sense. Somebody who's something that I suppose my aunts and uncles would have accused me of being a Luftmensch. Um, but Mensch,
Don't go into art. Don't go into art, Joey.
yeah,
Go into get a real job.
yeah, a guy actually, a family acquaintance, older guy, approached me at my father's shiva and asked me if I would speak to his son about why he shouldn't go into art. And I showed a lot of restraint by not punching the asshole's lights out. What an the opposite of a mensch, because
Right.
mensch is not just a guy. A mensch is a regular Joe, a stand-up guy, a good
Yep.
person.
Yeah,
You
a
know,
reliable
yes.
dude.
So what we would call the version in Yiddish of somebody who fought the chivalric virtues would be menschlichkeit, the
Oh,
art of menschliness, essentially. Mensch,
menschliness. That's awesome.
menschliness. Um, so I thought that was probably enough Yiddish because I could do so much about
Okay.
Yiddish because there's so many terms, but I had to include some.
Well,
Um,
let's look first in your list here. There are some that are the concept exists in a couple of different languages.
yes, which I thought was interesting. Um,
And one of my favorites that I learned back when I was probably in my first or second year of college um, was l'esprit d'escalier.
yes,
One of my favorite terms and concepts, really, as a thing, really, because everyone's experienced it, and we'll just explain it, but it literally means the spirit on the stairs.
yes.
Um,
I think it's a great phrase for it. And the German version is Treppenwitz. Treppenwitz.
I wonder what
Um,
that means literally.
and I think it means stair wit.
Oh, stairwind. Okay. So they both somehow came
Related. Yeah.
right to the
It's
stairs. And I
Treppen.
think that's the
I'll have to look. I'll look it up to be sure. But um, so you can go ahead and explain it.
well, and I like that they're both referencing the stairs, and in particular, the stairs of one's home or something where you are leaving. You are on your way out.
Mhm.
And it is the well, how's it defined here? The back and later,
You
after you've had a discussion with someone, you realize or you find the perfect phrase that would have summed up what you're saying or silenced the other person. Um, put you on the upper hand of that conversation that you didn't have at the time. But as
Yeah.
you are have you after you have left the conversation, you are leaving the party or the situation, whatever, it suddenly occurs to you,
The
and the frustration that accompanies that you couldn't come up with it at the time.
the perfect comeback too
Yep,
late.
too late.
Yeah, and the German means stare wit, essentially
Oh,
stare
stare wit. Okay, right.
wit.
So
Yeah.
essentially the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
So yeah, I've always thought that because who has not experienced that, after leaving a conversation, realizing that, oh, I should have said,
Yeah.
in that moment. But so I thought that was a really good one.
I think it's a really useful concept, and I think the fact that it's in it's in there are multiple languages that have a phrase for that, I think is really interesting because we've all experienced that.
Sure.
Um,
And there's no English word for it, particularly no phrase for it. Um, but there should be.
yeah, yeah. The perfect comeback too late is
Yeah.
so. Um, and there's also German and Spanish have a word or short phrase for secondhand embarrassment. So there's in German Schadenfreude, which is the joy you experience at someone else's misfortune. And but there's also Fremdschämen, which is being embarrassed for somebody else.
Now, I think our Gen Z Americans would call it cringe. Similar
Well,
concept.
I think somebody's behavior can be cringe, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you feel bad for them. You're embarrassed for them because they're cringe. You could just be deriding them because they're cringe. You're cringing, but their behavior is cringe. Might not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily imply that you're embarrassed on their behalf because fremd is friend.
Well,
They're your
maybe it's
friend.
okay. I
So,
mean, a subtle distinction in that you recognize that they are embarrassed,
yes.
and you are, and I think, I suppose there may be a more that may be a more callous observation that, oh, they're embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed for them. I just
Yeah.
recognize that
Yeah.
they're embarrassed.
The Spanish equivalent is pena ajena. Pena ajena. So I think that is it's interesting that we have a concept, and I think we've all felt that too, that somebody does something, oh man, I wish you wouldn't,
Yeah.
you know, um, feel bad for you because of what you did. So, and I think these these two are, I mean, the l'esprit d'escalier is what you're feeling. The other one, the Fremdschämen, is how you're feeling about somebody else. So there's a lot of these, the commonality of these words describes certain feelings, I think,
Yes.
in most of them. They're emotional states that are different from, I don't know if you've ever seen, there's a chart of emotional states and the larger sections in the center, and then there are smaller shadings of those as you move out, and then smaller
Oh,
shadings
sure.
of those, and it's really interesting way. It's a useful tool for people to understand those nuances of emotional feeling. Um, okay. Um, well, since we mentioned French, I mentioned another French term. I'll let you. Your French pronunciation, I think, may be better than mine.
Okay, let me find it. Oh, Seigneur Terrasses?
Yes.
Terrasse? Terrasse? I don't know. Senior Terraces is that
Is
how an
yeah,
Englishman would pronounce it?
gentlemen of the terrace. It
Yeah.
refers to people who go to a coffee shop and then sit there at tables for a long time but spend very little money. And
Ah,
that's something that we have seen. If you've ever gone to, do some work, which I have done sometime at a Starbucks or a local coffee shop with the internet,
mm-hmm.
and you do that, I'm I get some, I buy something, a cup of coffee to sit down,
Right.
and then at least every 40 minutes or hour or something, hour probably, I'll buy something else because it's like I'm paying rent on the
Yeah.
on the
Well, yeah.
space,
Otherwise, you're just loitering.
Right, exactly. And I think some places have actually instituted a limit. It's I think of it as a cover charge, a cover
Yeah.
charge and a two drink minimum. So many
Well, you
places.
you drew people in with your free Wi-Fi, and it
Yeah,
worked too well.
yeah. Well, the concept in Starbucks it would be the third place. That was the original concept that Howard Schultz had in creating this coffee shop culture when he created Starbucks was something he called third place. There's home and there's work. What's the third place that you can
Oh,
go? And
that isn't a bar.
yeah, and it used to be like Cheers, it was the bar, the neighborhood bar. That's where people would go. They'd stop, have a drink. This was
Well,
something else.
in England, it's the
The
pub,
pub.
a
Yeah.
public house.
Uh-huh.
That's what pub comes from.
Yep. Um, so let's get depressed and bring in
Oh,
some Russian terms.
go to Russian? Yeah, just what
Yeah.
I expected. Yeah.
Uh,
So Tosca?
Tosca. Tosca. A melancholic, undirected, and deep longing without a reason that can be a wistful sadness or a causeless, gaping nostalgia.
It's kind of an ennui. Sorry,
Kind of, but
I'm getting
s-
messages.
sadder and
Sadder.
darker.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
Vladimir
Something very
Nabokov,
goth.
yes, Vladimir Nabokov said, no single word in English renders all the shades of Tosca. At its deepest and most painful, it's a sensation of great spiritual anguish, often without any specific cause. At less morbid levels, it's a dull ache of the soul, a longing with nothing to long for, a sick pining.
So it sounds like there may be medication that could help with this.
Well, and it does. I mean, you mentioned ennui, and I think ennui um, and tristesse
hmm
and what's the other one? They were described as the French diseases of the soul. Ennui, tristesse, and I'll remember the other one as we talk. Um, so, and I think related to it is another Russian term, razbliuto, razbliuto. And I apologize. I should have apologized right at the start in advance for any mispronunciations. Um, this is the empty feeling, again, an empty feeling you have for someone you once loved.
So not not the loss of the love, but when you see that person you feel empty. You
Yes,
you have no feelings whatsoever, hatred, love,
yes,
disdain, nothing. It is a void, a vacuum of emotion.
yes.
Wow.
I think that's
Harsh.
a, yeah, I think that's a really useful word. Um, I
Yeah,
think
that's
I think in some ways, rather than I think you could look at that positively in a way, saying you've moved beyond hatred or anger or pity or
well,
any of that. You've given up that connection and there is none anymore.
especially I think if that could be used as a to relate to someone who not just who you once loved, but who hurt you as well.
Yes.
That you can
Oh.
carry it around with you forever, or you can just decide that that has no longer has any meaning for you.
It no longer has any power over you. Yeah.
Same thing.
Yep. Exactly. Um, actually, this would have been a good follow-up to the coffee shop dwellers, the French term,
Mm, yes.
sobremesa.
So yes, that's very good. So Mesa's table.
Yes.
Um, I wonder what sobre transition is. If it's like sober,
Well,
I
I
don't think so.
will, while you explain it, I will dig a little
Okay.
deeper into it.
People spend a little more time at the table after eating to chat, drink coffee, and pass time leisurely. In Britain, they don't do this.
Yeah.
I think in Britain, you've got tea, you've got other sort of social things, but it's not after eating so much. So,
So sobre is like supra. It's on, so it means literally on the
oh,
table
above the
or
table.
above the table. So spending more time to talk or chat or pass the time leisurely. So
Yeah,
yeah,
over a table.
over a table. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I think one of the things, if you're doing that in your home with guests, I think that's great. If you're doing it in a place like Spain where they expect that, that's great. But with economics of the restaurant business being what it is, if you they have to turn over tables as they have a certain amount of time. If you're depending on the restaurant you go to and the level of restaurant, the higher end restaurant will expect you to spend more time there
Hmm.
than a place which is really trying to turn the table and get you out the door.
I remember in one of my
And
marketing
so I'm
classes.
just saying you should be considerate of the
Well,
restaurant.
and to me, I don't care if the restaurant's not making more money on me, but if the wait staff is expecting a certain amount of turnover to get their tips for the night, that's a whole different thing.
Well, yeah, and tipping, uh, uh, there are places that have, and the situation's in flux. I think there's certainly places where the the wait staff is professional and they are compensated well and they don't require tipping.
Right.
And this is more common in Europe. Um, and I would rather see that
Sure.
because I certainly have had the joyful experience of being served by a professional waiter with long time experience, and it enhances the meal. It does that
Was this in
experience.
Europe or was this at a high-end American place?
I've had it both. I've
So I
had
think that
both.
there's a difference there in it's particularly in Europe, and this I'm just postulating this now that Europeans have a different view of what service means,
Mm,
and that in America we're sort of taught that if you're that servants are second class. They're lesser than their patrons, and they're unfortunately treated that way sometimes. In Europe, in England in particular, I think servants are professional people.
yeah.
They are assistants. They do good work for the people that hire them, and they are respected by those people. So, but I think in America we have this. You nobody chooses waiting or being a wait person as a career.
Well, although I've certainly had some career waiters
Yeah, but I don't
and
think
I
that's
don't,
what they wanted to be when they grew up.
no, I
They might
don't,
have found that
yeah,
they were good at it
yeah,
and kept at it and made a career out of it.
yes.
And they
Um,
rose until they were working at a very high-end
yeah,
restaurant and
yeah,
maitre d' and concierge and all that. Yeah, certainly there's a career path,
yeah.
but I don't we don't teach it in this country as a reasonable, reliable income path forever.
I think it's difficult work. It
Oh
is
yeah.
not easy. It's hard work. And I think I always I respect people who are working hard in whatever they're doing. If they're
Yeah.
working hard and doing good work, that's worthy of respect. And they behave that way. We behave that way in a restaurant.
Hmm.
And I think, in fact, I just had occasion to tell somebody today. It wasn't in a restaurant, but it was in I said, the receptionist, I said, "You're always so cheerful. Are you always this cheerful?" She said, "Well, people come in here and they're not having a good day, and so I don't want to add to that." I said, "Well, I wanted to mention it because it makes a difference. It's a good thing to see that." And I recall we were in Padua,
Hmm.
Italy, on our honeymoon, so many years ago. Um, we were at a restaurant and we're sitting, it was outdoors. It was a lovely day and the great view of the Church of St. Francis that's there. And there was two of us at a table and there were a group of people larger group of people at another table. And they were loud and they were like snapping their fingers and the wait staff was ignoring them.
Yeah.
Whereas because we were speaking some Italian and being nice and thanking them and, engaging and stuff, we had like four or five wait staff around us, helping us, refilling stuff and doing and suggesting things, and they were ignoring the other table. And I said, what's, they said, Germans. And it's like I hate to see stereotypes verified, but
Yeah.
that wasn't the only occasion they didn't really care for German tourists who I saw pushing people out of the way to get on a bus.
Oh.
And yeah,
Mm.
and it's like I hate to see Americans behave. I hate to see any people behave that
Sure.
badly, but we always make an effort to, when we go somewhere, to be good representatives of ourselves, but also of where we're from. Um, but I think staying long at a table, you've enjoyed the meal and you're having drinks and you're having conversation, enjoying the ambiance of the place, I think is a wonderful thing to be able to do. And I think it's great that that's a part of Spanish culture. So,
Well, I think continental Europe in general, I think, has some of that culture, and I think it's okay here if you're continuing to order. You know, you're ordering
yeah,
another round of drinks, or
yeah,
let's have a dessert tray or something. You know,
yeah.
I think that's fine too.
The well, dinner, I'm is starts later. It's much
Yeah,
later. So it's not uncommon in Italy for people to go to dinner at 8, 9, 10 o'clock
sure.
in the evening. Um, and but things are closed down in the middle of the day.
Right, right.
So yeah. So um now there's a lot of words in Japanese that have
Yes, there are. Oh, you mean
yeah, very specific untranslatable meanings. Um Wabi sabi.
yes.
Really like that. It's the beauty in imperfection and impermanence. And um, So in and the a related concept is kintsugi. So
Hmm.
which is so if a piece of pottery is broken, they'll put it together but not try to hide the breaks, but actually put gold in there, which
Yes.
highlights the breaks but becomes part of the celebration of the beauty of the impermanence of it,
Well, and and
and the
that
imperfection.
that break is part of that object's history,
Yes.
and that's important, particularly the Japanese. Everything's a legacy. Everything has history. Um, the the wabi-sabi. I just listened to some short lecture about. Um, it was a thought uh, experiment where this person had been given a potion at the age of 40 or so. So they're mature, have lived much of their life. They're at the age of 40 or so, they are given a potion that allows them to live another 300 years. In 300 years, they they experience everything. They've
Hmm.
had all the careers. They've pursued all of their hobbies, all of their interests. They've seen empires rise and fall. At the end of that 300 years, they're given the opportunity for another 300 years. Would, you know, if you were in that situation, would you take the other 300 years? And part of that experiment is the recognition that part of the beauty and the importance of a life is how short and how transient it is.
Yeah.
And that it's I think falls in with this concept that life, you derive a lot of passion from life because it is not endless.
Yeah. Yeah. There's certainly been so many fictional depictions of the challenges of immortality and the that and yeah. Um, but I think it also the one of the most challenging things for me has always been what to choose not to do
Uh-huh.
because the world is so endlessly interesting and I am so endlessly curious about so many things. So
Yeah, how do you pass on something?
what do I choose not to do? And it's always a matter of choices. It's the um the whole multiverse splitting from every single decision, moment of decision
Hmm.
is I can relate to that. What would happen if I'd made this decision instead of that decision? Um, so while we're talking about concepts in other languages, there's a Japanese phrase, yokomeshi,
Okay.
yokomeshi, and meshi is boiled rice, and yoko means horizontal. So essentially, it means a meal eaten sideways, and it's the term to describe the difficulty of trying to learn another language.
Oh, huh.
Because
Okay.
most Japanese is normally written vertically, and most foreign languages are written horizontally. So it's a
Yeah.
meal eaten sideways, rice eaten side. So it's what a
And
yeah, and how
it,
difficult that is. Yeah.
vertically and right to left.
Mm. The right to left thing I'm cool with, but you know.
See, and I wonder about,
Oh, it changes. There have been studies of the effects on people's brains of language and learning language and how what part if your language is written right to left or left to right or vertically or horizontally, that actually activates different parts of the brain. And
hmm,
words that are pictograms rather than alphabetical, languages that are pictographic language and alphabetical
which
are
Japanese
ch-
is.
well, there is a alphabetic system, but there's also the pictographic. That also changes how your brain processes, changes the areas of your brain that are working on that. And I just saw an article about a study of people who were born deaf and what area, how do they don't visualize words. They don't hear words in their
Mm,
mind's ear. Um,
right.
it's images, but the images that activate the language center of the brain.
Huh.
Language centers of the brain. Fascinating, fascinating stuff. And there are people who don't have a mind's eye for don't
Right.
visualize
Yep.
in their minds, which when I learned that was just freaked me out a bit because
Yeah.
um
Another a practical aspect of this for me is that left-handed people writing, you know, Western English or whatever,
mm,
moving from left to right is difficult because your hand drags across what you're writing.
yeah.
Um, and I don't know, I'm wondering what, I'm sure somebody has done some study on this and I haven't looked into it, but what came first? Writing predominance of the right hand, and that caused a movement from left to right for writing, or have we become predominantly right-handed because our brains are designed to go left to right? Which trained which? And the fact that the Japanese write from right to left, it doesn't matter because they don't rest their hand on the page,
Yeah.
or at least originally it was written with a brush, right, suspended above
Yeah.
the page.
Well, I remember in elementary school because penmanship was a thing back
Hmm.
then. And I remember the left-handed students having to turn their
Yeah,
hand this way to be able to write at left to right
without
without
smudging.
spit. They couldn't do it. And then I remember one student, I don't remember who he was, but he got the idea of turning the page.
Yeah,
So he didn't have to do this. He could hold it more normally, but he turned the page and
had to
trained
write it
himself
at
to
different
write
an angle.
at an angle. Um, and I think one of the problems, I still see adults who hold a writing implement badly. They hold it,
Well, the one I see most is like this
yes, they hold it
instead
like,
of using a fingertip.
and I think that's because they learned to do it in elementary school at a young age before their fine motor control was developed enough to be able to hold it properly.
Hmm.
They needed to do this to hold on to it, or the pencil wasn't sized correctly for them. And
You had
so I
we
think
had we had
that's
two sizes of pencils when I was. We started with carpenter's pencils, and we moved on to your Ticonderoga number two pencil,
yeah,
and I'm pretty sure those are all the same, about the same size.
yeah.
I
The
don't I don't
I
remember the concept of custom pencil sizes for different people.
well, I think there are different sizes, and I think there are some larger ones, but for kids, but it doesn't. This takes. It's like somebody trying to learn to use chopsticks for the first time.
Mm,
I've
yeah.
seen people struggle with that, and that for me it's like, oh yeah, that's really easy to do.
And I was never
Um,
taught how to do it. I found I do it differently. Mine the way I hold a chopstick is like, I wonder if I got two pens that be suitable. I hold one down here,
oh,
and then I hold the other one like this.
yeah, that works. I don't think that's so different than
Well, yeah, it's like this. So I'm this one is the bottom one is essentially just held still.
yeah, that's
And
correct. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's the bottom one doesn't move. Yeah. So anyway, um, Tsundoku. And I don't know if I'm putting the emphasis on the correct syllable. Tsundoku. Tsundoku.
It's interesting. And there, yeah, I think that what makes these interesting is that there is people recognize the concept immediately.
Yes. Hmm.
There in this language, there's an actual word for it.
Yeah. And well, that's true of, I think, all of these. Um, so this is buying new books and letting them pile up and not reading them.
I
And
think there's a corollary with buying craft supplies.
oh yeah, yeah,
I think that is
yeah.
related. Buying supplies for a project and then never actually starting the
The project,
project,
yeah,
or
yeah.
just accumulating, you know, a inventory of potential supplies.
There should be a word for the requirement when you're working on a project to have to go to the store 3 times to get the
Yeah.
things you forgot to get. There should be a we'll have to coin a word for that.
See,
Um,
I wonder if there isn't a word similar to this for mechanics, for working on an automobile, because that is also a common, you start a project on a car and you have to go to the auto parts store 3 times
yes,
on Saturday
yeah,
before you can finish it.
yeah, and I think that's the same kind of thing, and I think we should coin a word for that.
If there isn't one, I think we need to do a
Research
patent
and see
search
if there
first.
is. Well, and I have coined a couple words myself, or
Is that
that,
so?
yeah, and I will share those at the end of this. So,
Okay.
um, uh, Bachpfeifengesicht, switching to German, Bachpfeifengesicht,
Boy, count on the Germans to add extra syllables.
a
But
face in need of a punching, in need of a fist.
yeah. Yeah, and I've heard the term they've got a really punchable face.
Yep, yep, Bachpfeifengesicht.
But I wonder, I don't think that that is a strictly aesthetic judgment.
Oh no, no, it's not. It is.
You don't just immediately want to punch a particular type of face. It's that
No.
face has been you know, is associated with punchable behavior.
Yes, exactly. Um, there's there are particular politicians and celebrities who
Oh,
are
yeah.
often their picture is often associated with the term Backpfeifenmusik.
Yeah.
Um, 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 Kummerspeck.
Komischbeck.
It
Oh.
means literally grief bacon. It is excess weight gained from emotional overeating.
Oh, wow.
Grief bacon.
Huh. Okay. So, uh, we call that stress eating.
Stress eating. Yeah. Yeah. But it refers to the weight gained from stress
Oh,
eating.
okay. Right. Yeah, you're right. So we
Yeah.
don't have a word for that particularly.
Yeah.
Huh.
Um, Weltschmerz,
Weltschmerz.
world grief or weariness,
Well,
world weary sadness.
that's akin to the Russian words we were talking about earlier.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Okay. A gloomy, romanticized, world-weary sadness. Also ennui.
Yeah.
Experienced most often by privileged youth. That is totally ennui. And that's a French word, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay.
I think there's also so moving to something more pleasant. Hygge, hygge,
Yes.
hygge.
Leave it to the Scandinavians to have a
Yes.
particular word for being content and cozy and warm and
Yes.
in general good
Um,
spirits.
and Denmark is actually using this term in marketing and tourism marketing as
Oh,
their defining characteristic,
huh.
which I think is great. Um, so
Well-being and contentment.
yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
and so Greek, pouring your heart and soul into something you're doing, so much so that you leave a bit of yourself in what you're doing. Meraki,
Okay.
Meraki.
So,
That's
but
terrific word. Terrific word. That is the kind of um, in, enthusiasm and effort and attention that we have talked about in throughout the living according to the virtues.
and I wish this were a little better explained, though. I could use a longer definition of this. You can tailor with, it says here, you can tailor with Meraki, cook with Meraki, paint with Meraki. And I mean, it's almost like passion. It could be nearly translated to, I mean, any artist I think that pursues their art to a particular extent
Mhm.
does this. It's more than just style. It's
But it's the fact that you're leaving something of yourself in it that
like what? Like physically? I mean, I'm
no,
not.
something of your we've
I
all
mean, if,
dripped
if
blood on
bleeding on a
projects. No,
project counts, I've done
you're
that.
yeah, no, we've all done that. Don't get blood on the work. I remember that. No, it's some a bit of your soul is a bit of your spirit is in the work.
All right, an interesting concept, I think, I guess. Um, I'm I don't grok that.
Okay. Um, okay.
Because I mean, you certainly bring some of yourself to your work. Any artist does.
Yes.
I'm not clear how one leaves a part of oneself in the work.
It absolutely makes sense to me
Okay.
that um
If you mean that you feel an emotional connection to the work after it's finished, I get that to some extent. I'm just not metaphysical enough to
I
understand how I
think
leave a
that
part of my soul in an inanimate object that I created.
I think that if somebody reads what I've written or really looks at something I've painted, they are learning something about me. They're
Okay.
seeing something
You're not,
of
but you
me.
haven't lost a part of yourself in it.
No,
You have imbued the thing
imbued a
with
part.
something.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're not, I'm not cutting off pieces of my soul to go in it. I am imbuing, I think
Okay.
that's a good word to
I think
explain,
that's
imbuing something in it.
that's a better understanding then. That's why I said I mean
Okay.
a longer explanation because this doesn't doesn't say exactly
Okay.
what we're talking about. So I think we agree this doesn't say it clearly enough to me.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Um, moving back to German, Korinthenkacker.
It sounds like a dog
It
breed.
does. Literally a raisin pooper.
Ah, uh-huh.
Somebody who shits raisins. Somebody's so taken up with trivialities that their that they spend all day on details and crapping out raisins and miss the bigger picture. Somebody who um I worked with somebody who back in the day um organized his markers just so,
Yeah, well, yeah.
and not according to, and you know who I'm talking
I
about,
know exactly who
and
you're talking about.
not in the way that of course, it's not in the way that the manufacturer arranges them. It was his own system, and the labels had to be all facing a certain way, and I shame on me, but I once went in and rearranged all the markers.
So I wonder how this would relate to the autism spectrum.
Oh, I think it almost certainly does.
And so
It
that,
almost certainly does,
yeah, so
I think.
calling somebody out like that is now probably not,
Yeah,
would be frowned upon now.
yes. Doesn't mean it's not irritating to
Yeah. Yeah. And I think calling somebody a raisin pooper is maybe kinder than some other things that they might be called.
So we've been talking about this for a bit, and as I said at the beginning, there's just so many words. So I thought we could conclude with one of the words that we've mentioned here before.
You're with your favorite virtue.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
it prominently on this list,
Yes.
and I've been waiting for you to bring it up.
Yes. Sprezzatura. So the the appearance of effortlessness that is only accomplished with diligent perseverance, hard work, effort, practice to appear effortless. Sprezzatura.
And you continue to define it that way, and
Yes,
I continue to define it the way it is spelled out here on our list. They're not exactly the same.
I don't care what some raisin Cooper has written. I'm defining it. I am giving the definition that the Medici used.
Oh, well,
Okay.
how are they doing lately?
They had a pretty good run,
Couple of popes. I mean,
couple of popes, and so a couple of hundred years. And
and
yeah,
I think that you are defining it virtuously, and
yeah,
that's good. And I
yeah.
and I if using that word describes the virtue that you're talking about, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
But an alternate
It's the
definition,
closest word for it.
okay, maybe
Okay.
that's another word you should coin
Oh, well,
instead of, because sprezzatura, to certainly to the modern person, um, is it's not just you have worked so hard that it becomes effortless. Part of the work is making it look effortless.
I don't,
That is part of the goal, is to look as though you don't care.
well, not to look as though you don't care, but to look as though it's easy.
Oh, well, here, an intentional studied carelessness.
Yes, I don't agree with that
I know you don't.
version of it.
I'm saying for the rest of the world has this definition for it. I like you using, I think you are right in trying to define the thing you're talking about.
Yes,
And you've chosen sprezzatura as the closest analog to the
yes.
virtue you are espousing. And I support that.
Uh,
That's all good.
Thank you. And I have backup, Medici
Okay.
have my back in this.
I agree, but I don't want to mislead our readers or our
So
listeners
you are
away from the modern, more accepted definition.
the modern, there's so many modern definitions that are cringe, right?
But I think this is valid. I think it's valid to recognize what the modern definition of it
Yes. But
is.
so the way you are using this and saying it's the modern definition is exemplified by somebody, and I'll use a description you once gave, somebody who's wearing very expensive casual clothing.
Well,
that
I
you
think of it
used to describe somebody once, it's not dress slacks, it's not a dress shirt, but it's all perfectly fitted and very well made and fine fabrics, but it's casual clothing. It's not it's not like jeans and a t-shirt. It's like very expensive jeans and a fitted t-shirt and a polo shirt, but it's that it looks carelessness, but the hair is tousled and just so, and the stubble, it's a stubble that's very how somebody maintains this 2-day stubble indefinitely
right, right.
without, and there are people who actually have tattooed stubble on their face so
Yeah,
that they
which
can, um,
that is
that's what you're talking about. And in
well,
some ways,
I may have touched on that, but that is not how I define it, and not how, in particular, fashion defines it.
right.
It's the well, I'm gonna read this whole description here, right? And the world needs more sprezzatura is how it starts, and I agree. But it is an effortless, nonchalant, leisurely masterfulness, which is close to what you're talking about.
Yes, yes. It
And but it also means an intentionally studied carelessness. So you can't be careless and studied at the same time. So there's a dichotomy there.
right.
So so if you dress sprezzatura, you look phenomenal, but like you don't care. And I can't remember who said it, but there was a very famous quote that says, a gentleman should choose their clothes with care, or choose their clothes with intelligence, put them on with care, and then forget all about them.
I agree with that because
Right,
the effort that goes into the choice and how it's put on, that's the work that
right. I
makes
don't
it look easy.
I don't think we are far apart on this. I'm
Right.
saying there's lots of overlap,
Yeah.
but the it says you have successfully concealed all your effort. So the effort that concealing and just being naturally artful are not the same thing.
I'm not
So
saying they are. It takes work.
what you're saying is that you are so well studied that you don't that you naturally look that it naturally looks easy.
It looks, no, I'm saying it looks easy to the people who don't understand all the work that went into it.
Well, yes, of course. But like watching, I always think of Victor Borgia.
Yes. Okay.
Played the piano masterfully, but was so good that he could look bad
Yes.
while still playing the piano for entertainment purposes. Okay,
Exactly. Yes.
this is not that is we're not talking about the same thing. It's a slight, but to me very
So let
discernible
me
difference.
let me give you another musical example. Itzhak Perlman, the brilliant violinist, was starting to perform a concerto, violin concerto, and one of the strings broke.
Hmm.
And rather than stop, he kept playing, but he changed all the fingerings, all the bowing, everything on the fly and
Hmm.
played the concerto perfectly.
Okay,
It's mastery.
it is.
And
I
he
don't
made,
I
yeah,
don't put that in as sprezzatura though.
but he made it look easy because he also said he was asked in an interview, why does he practice every day? And he said, if I don't practice for a day, I can tell. If I don't practice for 2 days, the critics can tell. If I don't practice for 3 days, the public can tell.
Okay,
No, they wouldn't be able to.
no.
They wouldn't be able to, but
No.
he would know. And so he continues that effort, that work, and is able to do what he can do because of that. He makes it look easy.
I absolutely understand your definition of this. And
Okay.
what I'm saying is the difference is is um, well, there are I've seen a couple of examples. Things like a fashion designer, and again, I don't remember his name, but he had a sort of a signature thing of he would wear his wristwatch on top of his shirt cuff because it was more comfortable, he said. But it became a signature thing. That was his sprezzatura, that he
Mm.
broke a rule consciously, intentionally to set himself apart. And that's where in Effortless Genius, I've read an anecdote, and I think it was an Italian Renaissance thing where young noblemen would wander casually through gardens with teams of hairdressers and you know servants hiding in the bushes so that at any moment, if anything went wrong, their appearance could be repaired in case they met anybody, right? So it is an affectation. It is made to appear perfect and casual and nonchalant and effortless, yet and it's the appearance of nonchalance is more important than the effortlessness that comes from mastery.
And I say that the effortlessness, appearance of effortlessness that comes from mastery is more important than just the appearance.
And
It's the
I'm not I'm
mastery that I focus on.
from a standard from a standpoint of virtue,
Yeah.
I absolutely agree.
Okay.
I'm pointing out is that the modern definition is that it is looks like, appears to be. That is always part of the definition. It
Right.
appears effortless, but the work is not just in the mastery, the
The
work
work
is in
is,
making it look effortless
and for me,
or nonchalant or casual or
for me, the effortlessness is the result, appearance of effortlessness is not the goal, it's the result of the work. And that's the
I
difference.
understand.
Okay.
I understand. And like I
Okay.
say, from a virtue standpoint, that's great.
Yeah.
The
That,
modern definition,
I don't give a
again,
shit about the modern definition.
and I want our, but and I get that you don't, but our audience, I believe, deserves to know that if you use that word in the modern sense, it means that someone has gone to great effort to appear like they didn't go to any effort.
Then, then, yeah, then don't use it that way. Don't use it that way.
Okay.
Okay. Um, there are so many more words. I will leave you though. I will conclude with some words that I have coined myself.
Oh, okay. I can't wait.
Faux-pology.
Oh, that's very good. Oh,
Yes. So we talked about the correct steps of an apology. My mother's four steps of an apology.
yes.
We've talked about those before, and it has gratified me enormously to see other people explaining those as the steps of an as my mother's
Yeah.
steps of an apology that it's spread. But somebody who doesn't follow those steps, um, admit the mistake, apologize, say you won't do it again, um, make amends. Those four steps in that order.
Hmm.
Um, if you don't do those four steps in that order, well, I apologize to anyone who is offended. That's a faux apology. It's not a real apology. It's
Yeah.
a fake apology.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yes. Yeah. Um, Goy-splaining.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I've had people, yeah, I don't even think that needs an explanation. So, um, skeptimistic.
All right. Okay. Parse that one for me. I get
So,
skepticism and optimism somehow.
yes, I'm skeptical but optimistic. I'm skeptimistic. I
Hmm,
don't think this will work, but I really hope it does. I'm
okay.
skeptimistic.
Okay. This in the expecting the worst, expecting the best, preparing for the worst, or hoping for the
Exactly.
best. Okay.
Hoping for the best, preparing for the worst. You're skeptimistic.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I got it.
And that's what I've got for now. So I'll
Okay.
probably come up with some more. Um, and I encourage you to coin words and to learn another language and to learn terms from other languages because they're really useful.
And if you've got some kind of, weird hybrid word that you've come up with or that your mother used to use or whatever, put it in the comments. That'd be great. I'd
Yeah.
love to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's it.
I think that's
Um,
enough.
yeah. So please like and share,
Tell
um,
your friends, comment.
comment and follow. And until we see you next time, be thou
A good night.
and true. And sprezzatura is the way I define it. So.
Yeah, whatever, man.